Hi, so I wanted to make a video about the beauty industry, in particular the pressure on women to conform to societal norms, from plastic surgery to AI filters. I wanted to make a video because avatars and AI filters seem to be a small step towards transhumanism, and at the rate we're going to be less and less comfortable with reality, seeking out ever more virtual content. Botox and plastic surgery alone sometimes serve as a warning when features can become a bit more exaggerated, a bit of a caricature. And now with AI enhancements via social media filters, women are under even more pressure to have flawless skin, a perfect pout and luscious lashes. Cosmetic surgery is simply the inevitable end result of a toxic, well-oiled, multi-million-dollar machine. Women have been manipulated for eons. Mocking women who've had Botox or surgeries does nothing to address deeper societal issues. Issues around self-acceptance, our perceptions and misperceptions of what beauty must look like, the greed of an industry that creates and feeds misery, and ultimately, our collective struggle to accept aging and death in Western society. Women have been judged, shamed and dissected for millennia, made to feel inadequate no matter what we do. A lady on TikTok recently created a video to anxiously ask whether it was okay to sport grey hair. The answer is yes. It's your hair. You can do what you like with it. But that moment powerfully illustrated how we have become so imprisoned by unwritten rules. Some people on social media recently commented that Pamela Anderson has let herself go, when to me she looks beautiful, as natural as possible, which is a true joy in this age of celebrity. She's 57 years old. She's coming into her later years now. She doesn't need to conform anymore, and of course she never did. Many have forgotten that we all age, that none of us are getting out of life alive. People's judgment of others adds to a collective pressure, too great for any one woman in the spotlight to withstand for long. Julia Roberts, also 57, also had a smattering of online criticism, when again she looks absolutely lovely. The masses clamour for an impossible dream of glamour and eternal youth, and a giant industry hungry for ever more profit has now responded with AI-augmented visions of beauty. A vicious circle is created. Beauty becomes an impossible dream that many women never stop pursuing, but ultimately the shadows they are running from are their own. And though a cliché, people have forgotten too that inner beauty is the most valuable kind of beauty, that women's value is much deeper than skin. And now filters on social media smooth lines, add makeup, and can create astonishing visions that sparkle and glow and seduce and bewitch. They're a final nail in the coffin of the wild woman within, a step towards humans 2.0, transhumanism, synthetic human-robot hybrids, and a further step away from nature. This too can create even greater psychological problems in some cases. These filters are so powerful that many women could easily feel inadequate without such augmentation, and that's a potentially dangerous thing for the psyche. It's incredibly tempting to use a filter. It might get you more clicks, but then the real you is in competition with a virtual counterpart that can never be real. And at worst, this might create a schism in the psyche, seeing this version of you and others that's wildly glamorous and yet an impossible fantasy. It can create a deep feeling of inadequacy and very real sadness. It's like a form of hypnosis. In such a quest, individual quirks disappear in favour of uniformity that belies inner desperation as self-acceptance slips further out of reach. Your identity dissolves when you compare yourself to an AI sparkling vision. You become seduced by a fantasy of yourself. Android-like synthetic skin is preferred over human. In another few years, people may feel uncomfortable when confronted with reality, with aching flaws and vulnerabilities. But by then, we may be human-robot hybrids hooked up to AI by way of microchips and Neuralink. AI augmentation is at worst like the devil card in the tarot deck on steroids. Chasing this dream will only lead to inner pain, as the outward appearance can never measure up to this fantasy, and you become victim to a growing darkness within your own psyche. It's a dangerous path to allow yourself to be seduced in this way. You might become a bit hollowed out if you're not aware of what's happening and if you're not grounded enough to know when to walk away. We are therefore trying to compete with the unreal, the virtual. Needless to say that humans need to win this war on reality, right? We need to allow ourselves to be us. Real, raw, and being unfiltered shouldn't be something we fear. Women need to appreciate that our unique quirks help shape us. We know that real life is not a sparkly fantasy, that light cannot exist without darkness, without flaws. The flaws can often make us better, deeper, stronger, wiser, and a little bit like the Japanese art of kintsugi, we should honour our imperfections and cherish all of who we are. To accept ourselves, after all, is the first step to truly accepting another. We forget too that this is a brutal industry. Dissatisfaction with how you look is amplified and, in many cases, artificially created to make some robot in a suit lots and lots of money. The suits don't care about your feelings, but they do care about their profit margins and paychecks. Your compliance and subservience is their dream. They feed from collective insecurities. We live in a society that tells us to only value beauty and youth. But once you start, you have to maintain the image, and that's when things get a bit tricky. So, in the worst cases in Hollywood, this can translate to a face taut like Japanese rice paper stretched across bone, sporting wide-eyed Barbie features that look like you've just come back from a quick trip to the embalmers and then got stung by a multitude of bees. A few jabs of Ozempic add a trendy, shriveled, wizened edge, because nothing says sexy like mainlining risky pharmaceuticals and congratulations, you've got the look. Sure, it might have eradicated any fleeting hope of personal identity, but at least you feel like you fit in. At worst, then, it can be a little bit Stepford Wives, skating on the surface of life with eyes wide shut. It's about as divorced from nature and your own soul as it's possible to get without triumphantly uploading your entire consciousness to a blue avatar. Yet we need a little wildness in our hearts, don't we? Life is diverse and often a bit messy and wild around the edges. Transhumanism is about trying to make humans better, but we have the divine already within us. And it's also about achieving immortality when we're already immortal. We just need to collectively awaken and remember who we are. And when you see people's faces replaced by digital avatars too, we see this sanitized vision of life, more corporate and grey and uniform and sometimes a bit lifeless. Finding your true creative nature means diving deeply into life, into your flaws, sometimes into the messy, the chaotic, the wildness of truth, rather than this quest for sanitized perfection. The cracks are where the light gets in, after all. So it's little wonder then that women feel pressure to conform in a desperately broken and shallow society. We can't blame women for this. They're a cog in a cynical machine. Men can get caught similarly in thinking looks are more important than they really are. Women are often dissected, commodified, stripped of any identifying quirks, bending themselves in impossible configurations to please their partners, to please society, to please the phantoms dancing in their own minds. Women who criticise other women too need to stop. We need to support each other, not tear each other down. You're co-creating this prison when you seek to enforce these arbitrary rules of conformity upon another. It's often freeing to wear little to no makeup. If your partner supports that and that's what you want to do, that's brilliant. That means you can relax. You don't have to conform any longer. Of course, if you want to wear makeup but are also comfortable in your own skin, then that's great. The danger is if you start to want to augment your body to fit the virtual counterpart, if you start to only value the virtual. Not caring what others think is ultimately the most liberating thing of all. To truly be yourself, whatever that looks like. Whether others might think it's too much makeup or too little. Ultimately, this is your life. And the opinions of others should never be more than background noise unless they have valuable information to impart with kindness. And it's absolutely fine to not be beautiful looking too, to be plain, ordinary. If you're born beautiful, that's great, but it's not an achievement and says nothing about your character. Some of the most mesmerising and enchanting people are those who would be categorised as the most ordinary in some cases, yet they're at peace within themselves, dancing to the beat of their own drummer, a call from within, and that's powerful. Behind even the most ordinary face, there is a spark of something lovely. When you truly see into a person, you can see the soul within them. Kind, compassionate humans sparkle with a spiritual radiance that comes from who they are at a core level. You can't create that with a surgeon's scalpel or a filter. It's the unquantifiable beauty of love itself, dancing in the eyes of another. Everyone has this ineffable quality. We need to redefine then not just beauty, but our own perceptions, to stop simply propping up this greedy industry that relies upon discomfort, unease, unhappiness, creating ever more impossible standards for women to tear themselves apart over. You are good enough. You are already beautiful. To honour that which you are honours God, because spiritually speaking, we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively, and God is seeking to know himself or herself through your experiences, as with everyone else on this fragile little planet. If we truly knew the eternal nature of the spirit within us, we wouldn't chase youth so obsessively. If we were in touch with our spiritual self, we wouldn't seek to chase fantasies. This perfected, AI-aided, cosmetically enhanced thing that many seek to chase can be a demon dressed in seductive clothing, and it will eat your soul if you let it inside your head. It's that powerful, but it's not more powerful than the love that already exists within you. And love always wins in the end. Your flaws are what make you truly beautiful. Perfection carries no soul. It's empty. We need to collectively readjust our values to allow ourselves and others the freedom to be who they want to be, without pressure to conform to ever increasingly impossible ideals. We need to allow women to age, to celebrate wrinkles. Wrinkles are a joy, a map of our journey on this earth, of who we are, charting our pain and sorrow and grief, which are just as important as the laughter lines. And we all need to learn to cherish and honour all that we are, and embrace our imperfections with tenderness and love. We are not perfect, and we can never be such. We are something better though, because we're real, we're flawed, we are deep, and our flawed journey makes us unique. Humans can endlessly remake ourselves with great love in our hearts, even after suffering great loss. That's breathtaking. We have the wisdom of the divine within us, and what could be more powerful and beautiful than that? Isn't the notion of perfection a little dull? Uniformity, no wrinkles to show, a little personality. but pristine looks which point to banality. No blemishes, no funny little scars from that time you crawled through a barbed wire fence age 12. No stories wrapped in your skin to tell your children or your partner about. Corporate style perfection is anathema to a colourful life. Don't allow it room inside your head. When did we become so afraid to be unequivocally ourselves? In this world that is lurching ever more towards Orwellian-style totalitarianism with soul-stripping AI as a new god on the block to be worshipped, being unashamedly yourself becomes a radical political act. It's an act of power, of personal agency, to stand in the truth of who you are and not yield to the weight of pressure from anyone, even your own family. And if you dare do that, you're going to feel liberated. You're going to find peace within yourself you never dreamed possible. But more than that, you serve as a powerful beacon too for other women. So stand tall. Be fearless. You are beautiful and loved just as you are. And be yourself, truly, deeply, wildly authentic, messy and quirky and delightfully flawed. And then be free.